to the left, DK Tyler Lockett. Geno Smith takes the snap, fakes it to Charbonnet, steps back, throws down the middle, wide open, touchdown. Tyler Lockett gets the 2-point conversion.
Nice.
And the Seahawks lead by 1 point.
In what is now, what is it, Drew?
A meaningless football game.
A meaningless football game, exactly, because the Packers did beat the Bears. And this is the NW Sportscast, guys. Welcome back to the channel. You just got to listen to Drew announce the Seahawks potentially game-winning 2-point conversion. Good for them. 9-8, it's better than 8-9. It also potentially gives you a draft pick about 4 or 5 spots lower than maybe you could have gotten had we lost this game. And I know what you guys, some people are going to be like, well, a few draft picks doesn't change much. But in a draft where, there's only a few really, really good quarterbacks out there, a few draft picks is the difference between, getting Michael Penix and not getting Michael Penix. You guys know, if you follow the channel, I really want him. But Drew, I want to hear your reaction just to this entire game. It's been an afternoon of ups and a lot of downs.
Yeah, I was flipping through both channels, watching the Bears game and the Seahawks game, and quite frankly, we're just not a good football team. Certainly not good enough to make the playoffs. I think even if the Packers lost, I don't think we deserve to necessarily make the playoffs. This team just couldn't get stops down the stretch. They seemingly can't tackle, which is what Pete Carroll prides himself on. And Geno Smith is not a good quarterback. He's, going into the season, I thought he may be an above average quarterback. I don't think that anymore. I think he's probably a little bit below average. And I think we should definitely move on from him in the upcoming NFL draft. This team just isn't good enough, Levi. I mean, you look at the team and they seemingly should have been better than last year. You improve in the draft. You have guys like Charles Cross. You got, Abraham Lucas, K9. They all seemingly should get better. Then you get Devin Witherspoon. It's just, boy, Mafe had a good year. I mean, I don't really know what happened. You should have gone a lot better, and yet you got worse. And I think that's a lot of because of how important the quarterback position is in the NFL. And Geno Smith, he did regress.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Geno didn't play awful today. I mean, he didn't play amazing. He had a couple of bad throws that were, I think, I thought they looked like interceptions and they ended up not being interceptions. So kind of got bailed out a couple times there, but 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, 189 yards, 16 for 28, pretty standard kind of day for him. But yeah, just nothing mind blowing, nothing amazing. And it really comes down to the fact that we had 3 games that we should have won this season.
Second Rams,
the second Steelers. Rams game, the Steelers, and the Bengals. All 3 of those games we should have won. However,
Bengals, I get a little more of a pass. They had Joe Burrow, but yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
but I mean, we were in the red zone 3 times in the fourth quarter, and they were in the red zone 0 times in the fourth quarter, and we scored 0 points among those 3 red zone trips, and they beat us by, I think, 3. So we should have won that game. Ultimately, there's also probably 3 games that maybe not 3, probably 2 games that we should have lost that we won, right? The Lions game, they had us beat, and we kind of magically came back for that, as well as that Browns game. So, to say the entire season is Jason Myers' fault for not making a field goal, or, the entire season is Geno Smith's fault for, not throwing an interception against the Bengals. Like, there are a few big plays which, that play cost us that game, but also ultimately this is about where we should have been. Like, we won a couple games we shouldn't have won. We lost a couple games we shouldn't have lost. It happens. But what it does mean is we're just kind of a mediocre team.
Yeah, very mediocre. Our one quote unquote good win towards the end of the season was against the Eagles, and that's looking worse and worse by the minute.
Yeah, even that game, maybe could have lost that one too. So that, adds to it. They outplayed us most of it.
Yeah, Cardinals 3rd and 8 just converted. 38 seconds left in our own half. Matt Prater looks like he might have a chance to send this game.
Game-winning field goal. Oh my
So we'll
gosh.
see. You might get your wish, Levi. You might get your wish, and the Seahawks might lose this game, but we'll see. I'll keep you updated. But yeah, this team is not good enough. A lot of things to look at. Looking at the positive side, though, I do think that this team will be better next year. I think that our young guys will continue to take steps forward. And I think that Geno Smith, even though he may still have a starting role in some capacity next year, having a quarterback, and I do think we will draft a quarterback, having a young quarterback breathing down him, really forcing him to either play well or get benched, I think will make this team better. And that competition aspect that Pete Carroll really strives on, I think Geno Smith really rallied. And last year, him and Drew Lock, that competition before the preseason, I think really got him into shape. And this year, I don't think he had that same mental preparation going into the season. And I think you see it here. He's also aging. And I know, I don't know where he's at in his 30s, but I think he's in his mid 30s somewhere. And although he hasn't played that many years, you got to also take that into account. He's probably played his best football as Kyler Murray scrambles to the right here. They're at the 32-yard lines with 10 seconds left. So Matt Prater will have a chance. So I'll keep you updated there, Levi. But yeah, this team just, again, I think this team had a few really key positions that regressed. And I think that was the big difference maker.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I predicted the Seahawks preseason. I had us going 12-5. We are going to end up probably being either 3 or 4 wins short of that, depending on if Matt Prater makes a field goal. I think the biggest reason why I thought we were better than we actually ended up being was because I had a lot more belief in our defense. I thought I looked at our defense and said, we have 2 really, really good young cornerbacks. Turns out we might only have 1 really good cornerback. I'm not sure where Tariq Woolen stands anymore. I said, we have 2 Pro Bowl safeties. Turns out we have 1 Pro Bowl safety, and even him making the Pro Bowl is a bit debatable. I love Julian Love, but I don't think Julian Love is really a Pro Bowl caliber guy. He really struggled for most of the season until the end there. And Jamal Adams, who I thought was going to come back and be great for us, I was so wrong. I don't know. That's one of my worst takes of the offseason was I thought Jamal Adams could be a potential comeback player of the year. That did not even come close to happening. So I'll take ownership of that one. I also saw Bobby Wagner coming back. I thought that was going to be a plus. In some ways it was. Again, he did make the Pro Bowl, leads the NFC in tackles. He also is probably the slowest guy on our defense. So that, kind of plays into things. And I thought that our young edge rushers were going to improve. And instead, Nwosu got hurt. And all of a sudden, we could not generate any pressure after Nwosu got hurt. So it was a lack of depth, I think, part plays a role. And also just regression, a lot of regression from 2 of the guys who I believed in a lot, which was Jamal Adams, Tariq Woolen. I thought Jamal and Tariq were both going to be really good this season, and both of them really struggled.
Yeah, I think those regressions, certainly were the difference maker. This was just.
I didn't think Geno was going to be great. I thought he was going to be.
I thought he was going to be better than this, though, Levi.
I thought he'd be slightly better, but I wasn't thinking this was going to be a Geno first team. I thought the defense was going to improve off of last year, but instead, we got worse than last year, which doesn't make much sense to me because I'm like, we added more players.
I understand what you're saying, but Geno Smith got worse with a better third receiver in Ajigba, with K9 who's now in his second year, with an offensive line who's better.
And K9 got worse too, if we want to talk about that too.
I don't think he did. I know what the stats say, but just based off of the eye test, I really don't think he did. K9 was bouncing all over the field today, Levi. I mean, he was one of the main reasons we moved the ball at all.
True.
I mean, I don't know if K9 is really Kenneth Walker is really the person to point at.
No. I'm not saying he's not even a top 10 worry of mine, but he did get a little bit worse, I would say.
I would disagree.
Also got banged up, so
I would disagree about him getting worse. Either way, I think one of the bigger conversations we should have going into this next year is, obviously defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and head coach. I think all 3 should be in question if will we bring them back next year? Here also Levi 51-yard attempt by Matt Prater. So no gimme here. So let's see what happens here. Matt Prater gonna take a couple of side steps. 1 second left on the clock for the win. Matt Prater steps into it and
Yes.
he missed it.
Oh.
So the Seahawks win.
Wow.
And they're 9-8, and my graph is really excited. And that should
Oh man.
winning season for Pete Carroll.
Back to back 9-8 teams. Okay.
That'll probably make it a little bit harder to fire him, which is my question, Levi. Do we bring back Pete Carroll and the rest of the squad?
Drew, I think you almost have to bring back Pete Carroll. And here's why. Because I've been pretty critical of him this season. You know, if you guys pay attention to the channel, I'm not the biggest Pete Carroll lover, but I am a fan who values treating our franchise legends with respect. And I think Pete has done enough for this team. You know, I think he's the best coach in Seahawks history. You know, maybe you could debate Mike Holmgren, but I think Pete Carroll has done more for this city. He brought us our only Super Bowl championship. He, I believe, has the record for most wins as a Seahawks head coach, most winning seasons as a Seahawks head coach. And you can debate, you know, was it him? Was it Russ? Was it the defense? That's a valid debate, but ultimately he has done so much. I don't think it is very respectful for us to fire him. So I think from the Seahawks front office perspective, you can't fire Pete Carroll. With that being said,
how about Shane Waldron?
You absolutely can fire Shane Waldron and probably should. I think the Seattle offense, Pete Carroll doesn't really have much of a say in the offense other than run the ball. That's kind of his big thing.
I would say that's a cop out. Personally, I think the head coach has say in the offense, but
he has a little. He has say, but he's not the guy calling the plays.
He's head coach, but
yeah. But Waldron is the one who, you know, he'll watch Kenneth Walker go for 40 yards in the first drive of the game and then not give the ball to Kenneth Walker again for like the next 4 drives. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have to pound the run game. And, you know, Waldron he's so scared of sticking to the run game. He just wants to throw, even though Geno hasn't been capable of doing the throw approach, you know? And then in the third, fourth quarter, when we're losing by a lot, then all of a sudden, oh, now we're gonna run the ball when we're losing, and then it's like, what are we doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I'd say Ken Walker, see you later, farewell. Or not Ken Walker, Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron, see you later, farewell. Let's get an offensive coordinator who actually knows how to use Ken Walker instead of a guy who leaves him on the sidelines.
Yeah. This whole defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator decisions, you know, Clint Hurt, another guy, definitely on the hot seat for sure. I don't think he should have a guaranteed seat back next year, especially after how our team has been tackling this year, which has been Pete Carroll's whole mantra. Like, you know, we're going to tackle. That was the whole thing in the Legion of Boom. One tackle. The whole defense is kind of surrounded by just one tackle. And yeah, so I just don't think Clint Hurt should be a guy that is necessarily 100% back. And I would look into getting a new defensive coordinator. I really would. I think that Clint Hurt and Pete Carroll combined, I know Pete Carroll probably has more sway in the defense than he does the offense, but Clint Hurt, I think, should definitely not be a guy that we should bring back next year. What I saw this year is a defense that regressed with more key players in important positions. So I don't know. The Clint Hurt hiring a couple years ago kind of surprised me. I wanted someone outside of the Seahawks organization, and he was from within. I think we should kind of switch up the defense and move away from this classic Legion of Boom style era that we still seemingly are clinging on to.
Drew, that is an absolutely valid criticism. Not sure what the Seahawks decide to go in that direction, but we'll just have to see. You know, it's going to be a long off season. I don't have much else to say right now. You know, frustrating day. I should be happy. You know, I just won my fantasy league. I just won $100, but instead I'm disappointed that the Seahawks are not in the playoffs. So that's where I'm at right now. Drew, you want to close us out?
Yep. All right, guys. Well, this is it for the NW Sportscast. thanks for following along this season. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the content. We'll still be doing some Seahawks content in the off season for sure. We've released a few videos surrounding the Mariners. We got a Huskies pregame, so go watch those. And we should have a Huskies postgame tomorrow. I'll do one if Levi doesn't. So yeah, make sure to watch that. And as always, go Seahawks. See you later.
And go Huskies.
Yeah, sure.